Welcome back to DUBBZI Bricks for another episode of building the Tantive in Lego. First of all, in the last video, I was on about whether or not this is minifig scale or not. It's a question that crops up quite a lot, and there were so many comments in the video last week following this, and it has been decided we are going to be classing this as minifig scale. Now, if people don't agree, never mind, but that's what we're going to be saying. This is minifig scale, or that's how I'm going to be labelling it going forward. So thank you very much for all your comments. There were some really interesting thoughts put in those comments. So yeah, it was really good reading all of those. Now, in this update, I've got so many different things I could be working on the build. We could carry on working on this top section just here, getting all the greebling done, all the tiling done on the side here. I could make a start on the domes that are going to be going on here. I could work on the guns that go on the top of this section, or we can tackle the bottom. So there's so many parts at the moment that I can be working on that I know I've got pieces where I can start prototyping, designing, and actually getting on with it. So yeah, it's exciting times knowing that I haven't got to wait for the pieces like the cockpit. I have ordered those parts. They have been dispatched, so they should be here quite quickly, which is nice. So what are we going to work on this update? Well, I've decided I want to start tackling the bottom of the ship here. It's one part that I've been putting off, dreading a little bit because of how awkward I think it's going to be. And I think that'd be good to get started on there. I want to start on this side just here. This is the one where we are actually going to have the escape pods sticking out, or removable escape pods. So I think it's going to be a lot better that way. On the other side, we're just going to be having the front end of the escape pods. They'll be actually attached to the paneling, so it's a little bit different on that side. Now, with the panel that we're going to be having there, it's going to be a mixture of plate and tile, like we've got here. But the section where the escape pods are, we're going to be using bricks as well. So we're going to have to get inventive with the brackets, making it nice and strong, and also making sure everything lines up correctly. So without further ado, let's get the bricks and plates out, and let's get started. And here is the view of what we're working on at the moment. And it's really interesting seeing it from this angle. I've never really looked up at the ship like this before. Normally I either stood up looking down or sat on a stool. Today we're on a really low chair, just so I can work on this that little bit easier. Now I think the way I'm going to tackle this is I'm going to replicate the shape of this panel at the top here. So we'll make it out of plates as we have done there. And then we will work out exactly how we're going to attach the brick built circles to it. Then once we've made the entire panel up with all of the tiles on there, we'll then attach it onto the bottom of the ship there. So I think that's going to be the easiest way around. So let's replicate that top panel, and then we can make a start on those circles. And here we have the outline of the panel that we're going to be working on. I've just used any plates just to connect everything together, as we're just prototyping at this moment in time, trying to work out how we're going to go about building this. And we are anticipating a few problems, surprise, surprise, and it's all going to be around these arch pieces just here. So we're going to be using 4 per escape pod, but we're going to actually be doing them so that they're at different angles, or different directions, sorry. So we've got one like so, and then that one's going to be round like that, and then again like so. And then the final one will be like that. Now, the reason for that is if I was to put this in here, which is the size of the escape pod, and push those all together, it's a snug fit. But I want there to be a little bit of wiggle room in there so that it's for the escape pods to come out very easily. So what I'm going to do is put a 1x1 plate on the end of each of these studs. That way it's just going to make it that fraction wider by 1 plate. Then that's going to give me all the room that I need for the escape pod to come out, no problems at all. Now, because these are going in different directions, we're going to have to use brackets to connect everything together. And the other problem we've got as well is with these being laid on their side, so we're going to be using the snot technique, it's a fraction higher than 2 plates by half a plate. Now, if we were going 2 bricks deep on this, we wouldn't have any problem at all, as I'll be able to use the brackets as they're perfect. So if you can imagine the reverse one of these, so it actually looks like that and the studs are on that point there, it would be absolutely, it would be so much easier to do. But we're trying to keep this as thin as possible due to how we're attaching it up there. If I didn't have these beams in here, it would be a lot easier, but because they're there, I think it's going to cause a couple of problems. So I just need to experiment with how I'm going to go about building them all together. It might be a case of just building one large section here using all of the bricks and then possibly connecting it at the outside. I'm not sure. So yeah, there's a lot of trial and error coming up with this build. So first of all, let's try and work out how we're going to connect these 4 arches together, and then we'll take it from there. And here we have the first circle, and that was very simple. It was just a 1x2 plate on the bottom of the arch, snot brick there, which is on a 1x2 plate, which is connected to the next arch, and so on. So exactly the same all the way round. Now the next circle across needs to be 3 studs away from this one. So that being stud 1, stud 2, and then there'll be the 3rd stud there. So the next arch is going to be going here. I've got a feeling the stud on the end of that snot brick is going to be in the way. So we're going to put the 1x3 plate in there to start with and just see how we get on and see if that is the case. But hopefully we can find a solution to this and it's not going to be too problematic. And just when you think you're making progress, something comes along that makes you realise you're a complete muppet, which is what's happened here. I have just realised that I have made a bit of an error here. And I thought I was on the right track here. I changed the way that we were doing this. So rather than having these pointing in a different direction, 90 degrees each time round, I thought, why don't we just have them so they're 2 separate panels and then connect them together in the middle here, which is what we did. 2x1 snot brick there, 1x1 there, and then a plate in between means that we can just put the tile over the top and connect the 2 halves together. That's all good, so that's working well. And I thought we'd just do the same. So these arches here are both pointing in the same direction, or these ones are pointing that way, these 2 are pointing that way. If I had the inverted arches, it would be so much easier, but they're retired now and they were only in a ambulance set, which I purchased those sets just so that I could do these parts here, and I'm not purchasing anymore. I'll find another technique for this part. But here we have the 2 sections. The idea was to have a plate in between this part here and here, and then that makes it half a plate out all the way around for the escape pod, so it's in there loosely. I thought that was going to work out well, and then I've just realised that if I do that, the gap here is too big compared with the gap between these support beams here and the escape pods. So by the time I get to this escape pod, we're going to be 2 plates out. So I can't go for having the gap around the escape pod there. So it's a little bit frustrating in some ways, but it's also good in another, because it means now that I can just push these 2 halves together, put a plate across there, and it's all joined up nicely, and I'll just find a different way of connecting those 2 halves together. It's certainly going to be easier now connecting everything together, and I just hope that these escape pods do slide through easily and there's not too much friction between them. But to be fair, there's no reason why there should be. So now that we've realised our errors, let's correct it all, get this panel all made up, then we can work out how we're going to attach it to the panel. And here we have our panel, and it's quite strong. We've replaced the 1x4 tiles with some 1x8s here, and I've put these panels on the edge just here, as if I rest those on a plate, I believe it's going to be level with the tiles on the top here. So that is another possibility for getting this nice and smooth. There will be a solution to it, I am sure. But what I need to do first of all is work out exactly where this needs to go within the panel, and then we can work out how we're going to attach the 2 together. And here we have the panel, and it will work out flush. When I push that back, it is actually flush with We have got that slight gap there, but I don't mind that at all because it just adds to the details on the actual build. Now, how I've gone about is I put some snot bricks into this wall, which are just below this tile here. One plate on there, the two connect together nice and flush. Now, the rest of it, with the exception of that end where I've done the same, the rest of it is just purely gravity. So we've got these 4x4 modified plates along each one. And on the back of the brick built part here, we have put these brackets. So on the bottom of the 4x4 modified plate, we've got a 4x1 plate, and then the modified bracket just rests against it. So gravity will keep this in place, or at least we're hoping it will. I'm a little bit concerned about the structural side of this, whether or not there's enough strength in there, especially when you're pulling escape pods in and out. So I'm just going to have to see how we get on with that. But what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to add a lot of strength to the back of this. So put some more plates on here just to strengthen it up. Once we've done that, we can then attempt to attach it to the actual vessel. And here we have the panel for the bottom, and it's a lot more strength in it now. It's tiled off. Got to get some dark red tiles to go along the top here, but we can do that at a later date. And there's just a few odd ones here and there that we need to add. The majority of the studs, they are going to be covered over with some more details further down the line, but it's like tubing and stuff like that. And on the back, we have added a load of 2x plates just to give it a little bit more strength. And it does feel quite strong. So fingers crossed, when it comes to attaching this to the ship, we're not going to have any problems. Now, I have added a few more panels on the top just here. And these ones are going in the opposite directions to the ones just there. And that's just helping to keep it firmly in place. I am still a little bit concerned about the centre part where my thumb is just there. It isn't the strongest of connections. And if I'd had the inverted arches, it would have been a lot better. But I'm sure we can get away with what we're using just here. So what I need to do now is just do the opposite side of this. So replicate this for the opposite side of the ship. And once I've done that, I'll then start attempting to attach this to the vessel. And there we have it. Both the panels are now completely tiled off with the exception of the red line that goes along the very edge there. Just need to order some red tiles in for that. But now the fun and games really begin, attaching it to the vessel. And there we have the panel all attached to the bottom of the ship. And that was tough getting that on there. And I'm really concerned about the strength of this centre section. If I do have it so that I remove the escape pods and put them back in just to show people at a convention how strong that is going to be. So I am thinking it may be in my best interest to try and purchase another 8 of the inverted arches. I wouldn't need to worry about on the other side. This design's fine because the escape pods are not going to be coming out, so they're not going to be moved at all. But on this side where I may potentially be doing it, yeah, we're going to have problems. But the biggest problem I've got at the moment is this gap here, and there's something's gone wrong with the framework. I don't know how I've done it, why I've done it like I have, but when I come around this side here, the angle at the bottom is not the same as at the top, and I thought I'd replicated it perfectly on there. Clearly I haven't. So I'm a little bit concerned about the amount of rework that's going to be involved in correcting this, as this particular side, there's a lot of this built into these cross sections here. So if I do need to do any destruction in there, the amount of work I'm going to have taking pieces of this out just to get to it is, yeah, scary. What I'm going to do, I'm going to rotate the ship around to the other side where we haven't got a lot of the integrated parts in there, find out where I've gone wrong on the angle of this bottom part, see if we can fix it over there, and then we'll have a better idea of what we need to do on this side. And this is so frustrating. Instantly, I found the problem. And yeah, I'm not looking forward to the job that I've now got to take on. Over here, we've got this lift arm here. It's a 5 long lift arm. We've got a Technic pin in the bottom and the top. If we come over to this side, it's in the bottom and it's the second pin down. What a stupid schoolboy error we have made there. So yeah, that's where the problem lies. And the problem that I've now got is this lift arm is wedged in between 2 parts of the structure. So I'm going to have to do a bit of destruction on the top to get there. So first of all, got to remove the bottom panel here, because that's just going to fall off as soon as I start doing anything. Then I've got to take the top panel off so I can get down into there. And then I'm probably going to have to dismantle half the wall, both this end and that end. And I'm hoping that it is just those 2 lift arms that are keeping that all in place. I've got a feeling there might be a third one in the middle, but we've also got a brick wall in here, which is built there just to help, so there's no gaps in there. So that's all got to come out because there's not going to be room in there for that wall once that lift arm comes up. So let's start stripping this all down and then we can start correcting our mistake. And it is as I was fearing. There is Technic lift arms between this here and the bottom bit just to keep it all in place. And that's probably where the error started. I attached those in place and then found the right connection points along here. So yeah, massive mistake, and this is going to be a very costly one time-wise. But yeah, there's nothing I can do about it now apart from correct it. So let's get on, start dismantling, and then we can start fixing the problem. And look at the state of the Tantive. This is not good. And if we look down here, it is in so many pieces. We're going to have to completely rebuild that part of the ship here. But my biggest concern at the moment is how I'm going to attach this all back together. Now, if you think back about 4 or 5 episodes ago, we built this structure and it was only going to have the room on the top, and then we started going deeper and deeper into the ship and as far down and back as we could, and we started to reinforce it in different places, and we then built all around it. And that's the problem we've got. I'm really worried that this brickwork here is going to be in the way of the beams that are going to be going down there. So yeah, I just need to try and work out the best way of getting around this problem. I've still got to get this lift arm out here and move it up one without doing as much destruction as possible behind all of the greebling there. So whether or not I can just peel this brick off here, I'm not sure. I put so many Technic pins in there to give it added strength that is now causing me a lot of problems. But yeah, it's really frustrating that I've made such a silly error. It was just purely because I connected the bottom bit to these lift arms in the middle here just to keep it all in place, then attach the ones on the end, thinking they were in the same place, but clearly they weren't. So yeah, need to pay more attention when you're doing builds like this. It's just, these sort of problems are avoidable, and yeah, I've made a massive error here. But you know, the mistake has been made. All we can do now is try and correct it, get it all put back together, and fingers crossed we can do so. And our first bit of luck, we've managed to pull this Technic beam out without too much disruption. I was able to just get my nail under this plate here and here and pull it apart just enough to pull it out. So there is a little bit of stress on there at the moment, but it's not a problem. Now I've removed the lift arm that was incorrect, and I'm now going to be putting the same as what we've got at the top here on the bottom. Now at the moment we've got this one here which is 5 long, and as you can see it is just sticking under there a fraction, and we can't do the same here as it's going to hit these plates. So I'm going to try and use one of these L-shaped ones here. So I'm going to have to use a Technic pin which is half pin, half axle. And then that way it will stop us having that problem on there, and hopefully the L-shaped part of it won't get in the way anywhere. But at least we managed to get that out quite easily, and hopefully the rest of this is going to be the same, that we just managed to find solutions as we go along. And here we have the first bit of Technic work back in place, and they're definitely in the right spot now. This does move, which I was expecting, until I get it exactly where it needs to be. I'm not sure what the exact position is, but at least I know they are all connected in the right place, and we can just slide it along until we get to the right place. Now I did have to change the design, as I thought I would have to, as this part here was hitting the brickwork here, and there's also some work just under here as well that was hitting. Hoping that due to the fact that I've got a plate missing just here, that we're going to have just enough clearance for these sections going across. But yeah, it's just a case of adding one brick at a time and seeing how we get it all connected together. And there we have the Technic work all back in place, and I think it's actually right this time, fingers crossed. I've put this brick up here just to see where it comes to, and it's looking like once I put the hull on there, it's going to be absolutely perfect. So yeah, we think we have got it right. Just need to add a few more Technic bricks down this end, just so I've got small connection points for when I attach the hull to the ship. But yeah, although this has been really frustrating, I've actually really enjoyed the challenge of correcting it without having to destroy any more than I've had to of the ship there. It's those sort of challenges that I do really enjoy with the Lego building. So yeah, frustration has finally led to some enjoyment with this part of the build, believe it or not. What I will do when I go to the other side of the ship is I'm going to make sure 1000% the lift arms are exactly the same as they are on this side, so we know that we don't have any problems around there. So let's just build a bit more Technic up on this side just here, and then we can attach the hull to the ship and see how it looks. And there we have it all in place, and yeah, I'm just so pleased we've managed to get that all sorted. I thought it was going to be a lot harder than it's ended up being. It's going to look a lot better once I've got the red line along the end here. That's going to fill that gap up. But yeah, lesson learned there, just be a little bit more careful going forward with these sorts of things. Now on the other side, we have got to make sure that everything is lined up perfectly. This does appear to be going up at the moment, but I think it's possibly just the plates are a little bit bent from me applying it onto there. And I've just got to decide whether or not I do want to put the inverted arches there as opposed to the other arches, just to try and give it that little bit more strength. It's one of these things where it's going to cost a fair bit just to get those in, and is it really worth it compared with the trade-off? So yeah, I want to be able to sort of like have these escape pods so that they can come in and out when I'm at a convention, because I mean here we have it at the moment, and I mean, to give you an idea, that's what it's going to look like. And I just don't want it falling apart on me, because that'd be the worst thing ever if it falls apart at a convention, because it's going to take me forever to get it all back together again. But yeah, there we have it. It's problem solved. Job done. I hope you enjoyed the video. There's been a lot of content in here that I wasn't expecting to have to do, but you know, that's part of mock building, especially when I'm doing it. So I hope you've enjoyed it all the same, the process, the problem solving and all that good stuff. If you have enjoyed the video, if you could give it a big thumbs up, that'd be much appreciated. And if you're watching this on your mobile, if you could hit the hype button, it really does help others to discover the channel and the video. So yeah, I would appreciate it. Massive thank you to all of the members on the channel as well. Your continued support is much appreciated. It really does help with these large scale mocks, so thank you so much. If you know anybody I actually think may be interested in building the Tantive in Lego, or even Gotham City, if you could share the channel with them, it would be much appreciated. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye. Till the next time. Bye for now.